Hi, I'm Pandora, and I'm a first year student. I've just finished my first year doing PPE at the Queen's College, Oxford. Chose Oxford because for for PPE, it's one of the best, and for me, academics was probably the main factor for choosing a uni. Um, so that was kind of a no-brainer. But also, I really like the town. For me, it was really important to be in a historic town with lots of traditions, and I just really like the old buildings of Oxford. And it was really close to London, which is where I live, which was kind of handy. The college system and the tutorial system, which is quite unique to Oxford, um, Oxbridge, was quite important to me because I liked the idea of having like a close knit community that is kind of already set up in the college system, um, and you just slot into it, which was really nice. Well, to be honest, I wanted to do PPE since I was about 13. I first settled on politics, and then philosophy and economics went really well together with politics. And then as I got older and I was doing A levels and applying for uni, I realised that I didn't want to give up the kind of the breadth of my A levels, of doing A levels, where you have three or four subjects. So doing philosophy, politics, and economics that all use kind of a different part of your brain was really attractive to me, just to keep that kind of breadth and variety and interest. To be honest, my course is kind of challenging. Um, I think it's got that reputation for a reason. It's not flexible in the first year at all, so you have to do the core modules, and you don't really get a choice. But that's because you're building on. You have to kind of have a core foundation in all three of the disciplines, and then in second year you get to either drop one of the three. So for me, I'm dropping economics, and that way you get more flexibility in doing your other two, and you also get to choose one module from the one that you dropped. So I could do an economics paper if I wanted, but you also don't have to drop one. So there's that flexibility as well. But then in choosing your papers, you do get less choice because you're doing three rather than two. Workload wise, it's a lot of work. I think with any degree at a high flying uni, you're always going to have a lot of work. But I think especially so with PPE. I'd say that I do in a fortnight, I do three essays, one logic sheet, and one econ problem sheet, which is quite a lot for degrees because for PP for some reason they have a bit of an identity crisis. You have the contact hours of a science because they think they're a social science. So you have lots of lectures, lots of tutorials, classes like with problem sheets and stuff. But you also, because it's also humanity, you also have the reading lists and the essays of a humanity. So it means that your reading lists are very long, and so your essays take a long time, and you also have lots of lectures and tutorials. But I would say it's manageable. I'd say there's never been a day at Oxford where I haven't worked, but because your timetable is done by the PPE department, they know what you're going to have, and so they're not going to have any clashes. They're going to make sure you don't have any clashes. So yeah, it's never overwhelming, but it is a lot of work. The lecturers are varied. The lectures are important because for some reason Oxford doesn't record lectures, so you do have to go to lectures if you want the material, which again is another kind of contact hour that takes away from writing essays. Yes, I do a lot. because I wanted a historic town, um, it like I really like. I just think that there's nothing wrong with the town. Um, I mean, it's historic. There's loads of places to eat. Nightlife wise, it's great. I'm never stuck on places to go out. There are pubs, bars, like clubs. Um, yeah, I really like it. And obviously being in colleges means you're in town. I mean, unless you're in a kind of further out college. But even then, you're no more than like a 20-minute walk into town. I never ever take public transport anywhere because everything is a 5-minute walk. Um, so that's really handy. It means for a night out you can kind of just stagger home. Something which kind of was a bit of an adjustment to me was that at school you're probably used to like going out on the weekends or on a Friday night, but at uni like the big nights out are kind of midweek, which is just another thing to bear in mind. But yeah, definitely night out, nightlife, sorry, is fun at Oxford, unlike the stereotype. To be honest, like mixed. I think there's a really big hype surrounding first year, first term, and especially Freshers Week, which is probably 100% nostalgia. Um, like Freshers Week was fun, but it wasn't like as much fun as everyone hyped it up to be. So try not to hype yourself up about it, otherwise you'll just be disappointed. And also, if you don't have a fun Freshers Week, like 50% of people don't have a fun Freshers Week. Um, First term was tough because you're basically like you're thrown into a whole new environment. You don't know what's going on in terms of work, in terms of living, like just living on your own. And then you're trying to make friends, and obviously, like they're not giving you any slack on work in terms of trying to make friends. So it's really hectic. Um, I'd say, yeah, I'd say if like the kind of something that I wish people had told me was that if you have a rubbish first term, that's okay. If you have a rubbish first year, that's okay. Most people find their feet and find the friends that they're going to stick with, probably in second or third term. So yeah, I'd say it's definitely um, my first year has been really fun. I've loved it so much. I've loved my course. I've loved the people that I'm with, but it's not all plain sailing, and I think that's something that I wish people had told me more. And also a note on that, everyone always bangs on about imposter syndrome, where you feel like you shouldn't be there and you're not good enough to be there, and everyone else is so clever and you're not. And I really couldn't stress it enough. It's absolutely fine to feel like that. I still feel like that sometimes. I still can't believe that they haven't mixed up my entrance exam with someone else. And I think if everyone seems really confident, they're not, and they're just as nervous as you are. And that's just something to remember. My accommodation, because I'm I have a college system. My accommodation was all provided for by Queens. Um, there were kind of two accommodation like slots, if that makes sense, for first years at Queens. You could either live. I mean, you didn't get a choice. It was just a random like allocation, but you could either live in college, which were big rooms, not en suite, old rooms because you're in college, or you could live outside college. I mean, outside college, it was literally next door, um, in this kind of new modern building called Caradus, which was en suite, smaller rooms, modern, and I was in Caradus. I actually had the smallest room in Caradus, which means I had the smallest room of all the first years. But I really liked it. I mean, you don't really get a choice, but I think all the accommodation at Queen's was really nice. I mean, if you're in college, you're in a really nice old room that's really big. If you're in Caradus, you're in an ensuite, which is like big win. So yeah, the accommodation big tick. Um, something that probably I wish people had said to me was don't bring lots of stuff, because I basically moved in with my entire house, and I mean, at Oxford you have to take stuff back every term. You have to move completely out of your room every term. So that means 3 times a year you have to move everything out of your room. And because our terms are only 8 weeks, which absolutely fly by, if you bring half the contents of your entire house to uni, you're just gonna have to bring them back home again in 8 weeks. So yeah, that was. It's so tempting to bring everything you'll possibly need to uni, but maybe ration yourself. This sounds really geeky, but the academics. I mean, for me, university was first and foremost about the academics, and I mean, I'm surrounded daily by people that are just so clever, like literally experts in their field, and they're teaching me. And I just feel so incredibly lucky to be able to be like to have contact with those people. And it's just an amazing place to, if you just have any ideas, they want to hear about it. They want you to draw them out, and especially with PPE, they want you to debate it. They want to see how far they can test you, how far they can challenge you, and how far you can grow. And for me, that's just so exciting. I kind of like being challenged, and I like being challenged academically, and so that is just the most exciting thing about uni. Probably, I mean, you have to say the workload. No, I think probably the workload. I think I wish there were kind of more. There was more breathing space, because I think personally, um, it's. I think the environment is very sink or swim, and that's not 100% healthy for everyone. I think I was quite lucky in the fact that I've kind of been brought up with that mindset of you've just got to, like, you just, I've been taught just to kind of crack on with things, and like I'll just battle through things even if they're really hard. But for some people it's really overwhelming, just to be kind of thrown in, like to be challenged academically, so like really challenged academically when you haven't even found your feet yet, and you don't even have any friends, or you are living alone for the first time, and that's really hard. There's a really, really good welfare and support network at Oxford, and as I'm sure there is anywhere, but I think that's probably the thing that's most challenging, about moving to uni and moving to a very challenging uni, that you don't quite realise how much, um, how hard it is to like feel confident in yourself, when everything around you is so new for the first time. Yeah, I mean, one of the brilliant things about the city of Oxford, or the town of Oxford, is that there's just so much history. There's, I mean, museums, um, galleries, like there's meadows, there's just everything to do. Um, I mean, there are tons of restaurants, shopping centres. I mean, you're probably not going to be wanting to go to museums or art galleries at your time at uni, but I mean, there's Christchurch Meadows, which is just beautiful to walk around in, um, on the weekend, or you can cycle out, a bit further out. There are loads of like countryside walks, um, and there's Ifley, which is kind of the sports centre, where you can like swim or go to the gym or whatever. So yeah, there's tons to do. There are so many societies and clubs and stuff like that, but that's kind of part of the uni. But yeah, basically everything you could want. I'd say, yeah, basically the advice about first term slash year slash freshers week, that don't stress if you feel like you haven't got friends by the first term. Don't stress if you've had a rubbish freshers week, and don't tire yourself out. I'd say it's so, because the terms are 8 weeks, which are so short and they're so intense. It's so easy to just want to get stuck in on everything, just not like decline any invitations or anything, just go like full out the whole time. And that's great, and obviously do that if that's your thing, but also don't feel like you have to do that. um I know that I need my 10 hours sleep every night, and like it's okay for you to say no one night, to not go out, or it's okay to feel at the end of your first term, I don't know who my closest friends are, and it's okay to say, actually, like, I'm not having so much fun at Freshers Week. And you will have the time of your life regardless of whether you go out every week in Freshers Week or not, and it's absolutely fine. To be honest, compared to other unis, I'd say that Oxford for social sports is not brilliant. So obviously, if you're doing a university level sport, so you're in blue in hockey or whatever, netball or whatever, like that's brilliant. That's great. You'll get the training and the funding and like the coaching that you need. But in terms of like social sports, um, or for people that, for example, I really like playing netball, but I'm not uni level by any stretch of the imagination. And I mean, it's great because colleges usually have a sports team in lots of sports. So we have a Queen's College netball, we have Queen's College hockey, like stuff like that. Actually, I don't think we have hockey, but as in you'll have college sports teams, but obviously they're kind of just for a laugh, and that's good because it means you can um, you can just, like, it doesn't have to be super serious. You can go if you're a beginner and stuff. But also, if you want to do a sport like competitively, but you're not good enough to be in the uni team, you're kind of stuck in the middle. Because obviously you can't be in the uni team, but you like college sport might be too much of a piss take. So yeah, I'd say for sport there is that kind of middle ground where it's a bit lacking. In terms of clubs or societies, there is literally every single society you could want. There's a freshers fair when you first go, and you just go around and look at all the stands and all the societies. And honestly, like, it takes a whole afternoon because there are so many societies. So whatever you want, literally whatever you're interested in, there will be a society for it. So yeah, definitely on that front, they're very good. So it's a bit hard for me to calculate my weekly budget because um, we have something called battles, which are like term fees, where your accommodation and your meals go straight onto your battles. So, in terms of spending money, which is not accommodation and not meals that I eat in college, and I eat pretty much all my meals in college apart from breakfast, 7 days a week, because I'm catered for, because college is catered. I'd say I spend about, it's very precise, 86 quid on spending money a week. So that's like going to the pub, going out on a night out, buying my breakfast, buying books. Although they're like, you don't buy that many books because there's a library, but just stuff like that. Yeah, and also extra things that get put on your battles, like if there's a like Burns night dinner, for example, that's not included in my meal budget that I budget for. That's where some of my £86 will go. Hope that was helpful.